Hello YouTube, this is damocleas. I have been a solo team builder since the Ultra series ended in Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. I am coming today to talk about Terastalization, which I think is going to be one of the coolest mechanics, even if it'll probably cause a lot of burnout. I think there's way too much with it, and it'll definitely cause a lot of people to burn out. But that's fine for me, I don't really care. I grind this stuff too much. So I want to preface this video with three things. One, I want to be able to explain typing for the uninformed. Two, I want to give good examples. And three, there will be some slight spoilers, most likely. Probably not. This is all speculative. And anything talked about is probably not 100% accurate, which is fully expected for a game that isn't out yet. So let's start here. The Terastal calculator, just easy visuals. So for the uninformed, terastalization changes you to a pure type of the whatever you change into. So you want to terastal. Let's give Garchomp. Let's use Garchomp as an example here, since he's already on screen. Garchomp, he turns into a pure dragon. You get 2x stab on dragon, but you also keep ground stab, because dragon is one of your main stabs. Now let's change dragon to rock. He is now a pure rock type. This means he gets all the benefits and downsides of being a rock type. And he now has a rock stab that is 1.5 times. And he keeps his two previous stabs of rock and dragon. So that means he has 3 stabs. Gotta keep up with that. He still has all those things. That just means he gets the upsides and downsides of being a rock type and stabs, and keeps old stabs. That should be able to explain it enough. Let's go back here. Slowbro. Let's give 2 examples, defensively and offensively, and the mix. Slowbro here, tearing to fairy, just instantly made better. You no longer have to deal with water psychic weaknesses being very common, very easy weaknesses. They don't really cover each other, but they just have they have good synergy at the same time because of their, status moves you get, all that, and just base stats that come with it. Like Slowbro can play Terra Fairy, and then you're only weak to poison and steel, which obviously you have psychic moves, which automatically amazing against poison. Poison can't really handle taking a super effective hit. And steel, you can burn it with Scald. You could just spam your stabs and it's neutral to steel. And you could usually just out heal it, since you're Slowbro. Let's go on to another example. Tyranitar. Tyranitar is, in my opinion, very good with Terastalization because he has multiple options he could do with Ghost and Rock. I think those are the main 2 that'll be the best, because if you're Rock, you still keep Sand Stream boost, you still keep the 1.5 times special defense boost with Sandstream up, and if you're Ghost, you get Terra Blast Ghost. Also, I forgot to mention, Terra Blast is an 80 base power move that acts like Photon Geyser, which means it goes off your highest stat. So right now, Necrozma has 147 special attack, 127 attack. So Photon Geyser would go off of his special attack. It is a special move that transfers over to attack if the attack stat is higher. And it ignores abilities, but I don't think that's how... I think Terra Blast is just purely going to be the swap between the higher stat, which is what has been explained to us with. Let's give another example. Hydreigon. This one I put a lot of effort into, obviously, but this is a very specific case of why I think Terastalization could be a really cool mechanic if people actually use it properly, which it's not perfect. So right here, all 31 IVs, we are going to Terra Poison, so we are now a Poison Pokemon with Levitate, so we are only weak to Psychic, because you're immune to ground with Levitate. You're only weak to, you only have one weakness. You have 92, 90, 90 bulk. You can invest into that however you want. And you're very fast, very strong. So this is amazing defensively. And now offensively, this covers Hydreigon's major weakness, which I've used Sylveon as an example because Sylveon is Hydreigon's... Last I played with Hydreigon, Sylveon was just a menace to it, and it was just basically unplayable. Because Dragon and Dark, you're 4 times weak to Fairy, you just replace this to a resist, and now you can OHKO Sylveon with Terra Blast, because Terra Blast transfers over to the attack stat, which is 1 point higher, which is all that matters, because, look, it transfers over to the weaker defense, and I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, Sylveon is way less physically bulky than it is specially bulky, so you want to hit physically, and Hydreigon already has a good attack stat, you just need to have a move to kill with, and having Stab and Adamant plus these Nature plus 172 attack with Nature guarantees an OHKO pretty much every time, even with a little bit of defensive investment. That Sylveon has to invest 76 EVs into defense just for it to be a chance of an OHKO. Just for it to be a chance to not OHKO. Sylveon are never going to invest into defense unless there's a very specific matchup, so there is no reason to worry about that in most cases unless it becomes a common thing, which is that's how metas evolve. Things build each other to counter each other. Terastalization adds another layer to Pokemon countering each other. And then if you want your poison move to hit specially, or if you just want to obviously throw out more moves, you just Nasty Plot, and Terra Blast will automatically transfer to special type, to special attack. Let's give it +2 special attack from a Nasty Plot, and there we go, it's attacking the special defense. So we can raise the defense all we want, it won't be attacking here. We raise the special defense all we want, that's where it'll be attacking. Let's give another example. Rotom Frost. You Terra Electric it loses its ice typing, which is one of its reasons it's it's in the middle of all the Rotoms, because it has good stabs, but it's still an ice type. But now, you're pure electric, and electric's only weakness is ground. So you're just immune to your only weakness. And that's just amazing for an electric type. Another example of that is Electros, who has Levitate Electric, but doesn't have the stats to back up that. Rotom does. Rotom has the stats to back up being totally immune. It's very bulky. It has amazing coverage and like support moves, and just being in, it's just in a great position because it has all these different forms, and they all are guaranteed a good stab. With Blizzard, obviously this isn't the best, but if you're on a Hail team, which Hail is getting a lot of good changes with Frostbite and Bomb of Snow being the only Hail setter, that's not good. But some other stuff, there's some missing. A lot of factors gonna happen that I think Hail will be much more viable, especially... Let's just skip to a Bomb of Snow. A Bomb of Snow... I did not... Oh, I did put it on this list. Terra Water. You could get the Snow Warning out. You can Terra Water, go to Aurora Veil. You instantly resist basically all your previous weaknesses. And now you have double after the Aurora Veil's up. You still take the chip damage, obviously, unless you have safety goggles, which, honestly, not really worth, unless you want to resist being spored, since you're no longer a grass type that's immune to it. And you can just spam blizzards in it, and you still have blizzard stab. You still have stab blizzards, but you also have stab, like, I don't know, let's just give an example. You don't have Scald on this Pokemon, but you have stab water moves, you have stab grass move. Your stab water is going to be Terra Blast, obviously, which I will either use the Hidden Power, or I will use Terrain Pulse as the example. Let's move on to another example. This is just for fun. This is all purely speculative. Just a reminder on that. Let's go. Let's make a sand team real quick. Let's take Terra Rock Garchomp and take the Terra Ghost or Rock Tyranitar, and I just made a new team. Let's just imagine this is our lead right here. You have a Garchomp that can either, to the enemy, he could potentially Terra into a Rock type. He could Terra into like pure ground. He could Terra into a water types for some reason. Anything. You could Terra into a steel type for all we know. Tyranitar is more straightforward of a Pokemon where you want to either Ghost or Rock, both for amazing defensive purposes for this Pokemon specifically. More bulky Pokemon have very specific types they want to turn into, usually. While offensive Pokemon have more options, but there's still types they want to turn into, so it won't be as bad of a guessing game as people think it's going to be. But scenario, here's the lead. You're versus a rain team. You have your sand up. They don't know what you're going to terrestrialize into. You could stay water, like you could stay Ice Weak. You could just change to be immune to a fighting move. You could change to a ghost type to ignore Fake Out or something if I have a Fake Outer on the field on the other side. There's so many options here. It is a guessing game in the beginning, but once the form changes, it becomes much more straightforward to deal with, and there isn't as much thinking besides the fact they're now a pure type of the new type. Which either gets adaptability, or they just get another stab. My example here is Garchomp. You could just be fighting a Scarf Terra Rock Garchomp, who has Sand Veil for some reason because he's next to a Tyranitar. You could just watch a Garchomp just spam Stab Rock Slides over and over, and it's impossible to deal with because you get flinched every turn. Or it could go to a Steel type, become very bulky, be bulky invested, and just throw out its moves like normal. You don't know. The Tyranitar could... Either one of these could... These are good both Terra options. It's not like you're leading with a Pelipper, you're leading with a, I don't know, Belly Bolt. That's not the type of situation you're going to be dealing with most of the time. You're not going to be up against that. There's Belly Bolt's the only one there that wants to terrestrialize because it is the offensive threat. Pelipper wants the flying water typing, and if it changes to pure typing, it's not the best offensively. You're kind of just wasting your terrestrialization because these are not the stats you want to terrestrialize. These are the stats you want to terrestrialize. You want to terrestrialize higher base stat totals most of the time, or Pokemon. I don't know. Let's give Bisharp as an example. You want to terrestrialize Pokemon that have a reason to not be the type they are. Bisharp is 4 times weak to fighting. Tyranitar is 4 times weak to fighting. Garchomp is 4 times weak to ice. You see a pattern here? A lot of Pokemon that want to terrestrialize either have a massive weakness for their typing, or they would just benefit more from being a pure typing or getting like an adaptability boost. Like, here's my next example, Breloom. Breloom, there's a new item called Loaded Dice, which increases the chance of Bullet Seed hitting, like, multi-hit moves hitting more than once. So you can, straight offensive example, Technician, Bullet Seed, Loaded Dice. You hit Bullet Seed 4 to 5 times. It absolutely obliterates anything because you have a stab boost. You have just everything. Let's get Breloom out here. Let's get Adamant. Let's just test that. A Pokemon. Let's just put a Regigigas. Just a default Regigigas. Nothing too big. We just Bullet Seed, Technician, make it hit 5 times, Terastalize to Grass. And then, I don't know, just put on like a Life Orb or Choice Band or something. Oh wait, no, that's Loaded Dice. Loaded Dice does that. Ignore that example, that was a bad example, but you get the gist of it. You can terrestrialize and every single bullet seed's doing almost 20% to a Gigas. You are almost Okoing Gigas with bullet seed. Obviously you want to just superpower or Mach Punch, depending on the situation. But this is a good neutral example of why it's good, because you're doing way more damage. Let's get like a Lapras that won't normally die to just bullet seed. You are 2-hit KOing that, almost. You are almost 2-hit KOing that. And you are guaranteed 3 hits with loaded dice. Pretty much. You're just OHKOing that. Any water type, dead. Anything neutral, takes massive damage or dies. That's a pure offensive thing. Let's go to ice types with the Rotom Frost form. Ice types benefit the most from this, in my opinion. Besides 4 times weak Pokemon, ice types benefit the most. Because ice types usually have a lot of tools. Let's get Avalugg. Avalug's amazing. He has 140 defense, 184 defense, 170 attack, high HP, very slow, perfect for Trick Room. But he's an ice type. He's weak to everything, and there's nothing you can do about it. He fails his job as a defensive Pokemon. Let's just Terra Steel him. Suddenly, this 184 defense, actually usable, because you're a good typing. You still have about 3 weaknesses, very common ones in ground fighting fire, but now you're no longer weak to rock. You're not weak to the most random things. You are still weak to fire, but you're no longer weak to rock, to steel, whatever else just randomly hits ice because it has 5,000 weaknesses. And you get stab on your steel moves, like Heavy Slam. Because who wouldn't want stab Heavy Slam on a 170 attack Pokemon that's super heavy? I don't know how heavy Avalugg is. I haven't used it in a while. Don't take that as fact. Let's think of another ice example. Let's just look at, I don't know, Calyrex Ice. Look at this thing. It's still going to keep its stabs. It still has Glacial Lance. But you could turn it into a Steel type. This thing becomes unkillable. It has so many resists, like 3 weaknesses that it still tanks because of its absurd stats. And this thing just becomes unstoppable. Like, you still keep all your stabs, but now you also have Steel, which isn't that good on it, to be fair. But you are one of the best Steel types of all time, and you're not even a Steel type. Just for that battle. It's just insane. The Calyrex Shadow, perfect example. 4 times weak to Dark, faints to... Literally, its main item is Sash. With this bulk, its main item is Sash, because of its 4 times weakness. You could turn into a pure Dark type. This thing has no coverage. You could turn into a pure Dark type. You now get Stab on your Dark Pulses. Psychic Ghost Dark hits pretty much everything. Let's see. Dark, Ghost, Psychic. You pretty much hit everything except for Dark types. Which, honestly, bad idea. Don't turn into a Dark type. Just because you turn into a Dark type doesn't mean you still do that. I think personally, fighting would be best because now you hit all of them either neutral or they're just straight up like 2 or 4 times weak to it. Congratulations, you no longer have a 4 times weakness, you have a decent defensive typing, and you now have Stab to beat your biggest weakness. There we go, we just fixed Calyrex Shadow Rider. That's why I think Terastalization has amazing utility, and I really hope that VGC this season is going to be amazing. I think there's so much potential here that people are missing out on or just aren't understanding enough from watching videos. Wolfie just uploaded an amazing video, gave a whole thread of just possible Terra types to give examples to people, and then made an amazing video that you should probably go watch. He talks about it great. He goes over enough information for casuals to understand. Also, subscribe to his second channel. He is actually back to his original content on this channel. which is what I originally subscribed for. I like his new videos, but yeah. This is easily digestible, interesting information to know about. Like, he has a video on why Incineroar will be garbage for Scarlet and Violet because of its massive usage and just very unhealthy moveset that limits team building. We won't talk about that right now. Obviously, this is just for me to give my thoughts out on Terastalization and why I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm very excited for Gen 9 competitive. Once again, this has been Damocleas, and I thank you for watching to the end. I doubt any of you did. Really appreciate it, though. Have a good one. See you next time.